brutal, without mercy. But you will be worse. Rip and tear, until it is done.
Hello everyone, hopefully everyone had a Merry Christmas. We certainly did. Today we are going to be shortening things down. We want to talk about cool stuff. We want to talk about good stuff. We want to talk about why we enjoyed the year of 2018 when it came to entertainment. Which is why we're not talking politics at all today. That is for sure. So, let's rip and tear into our top 8 of 2018. My name is Micah Curtis.
I'm Alex Baldwin, also known as The Hatman.
Welcome to Micah and The Hatman, live. Alright. So, first thing I wanted to start out with today was something that I felt needed discussing when it came to our one little, how do we put this? One little New Year's resolution for the channel, for this podcast, is faux outrage. I am tired of outrage in general. I am exhausted of outrage. Completely exhausted of it. The reason being is that it never turns out to be true. I heard so many things this year that were supposed to be either alt-right or were supposed to be SJW, and were never the case. Never. So, the resolution for us going forward is very simple. We don't care if people are calling something SJW. We don't care if people are calling it something else. We are going to take everything as it is. And when we review it for you guys. Everything. The reason being is that outrage makes people into NPCs. Every time. And let's get something straight here. There are right-wing NPCs too. It's the truth. Toady is one of them. And there are others out there that they only regurgitate certain talking points. Everything is communist, everything is progressive, everything is this or that, and you have to point it all out. And obviously there are... Yeah. Well, if the only thing you think is Orange Man good, you have become an NPC. You don't have an inner dialogue.
Get on the Orange Man train.
Yes. This is going to be, and we're going to try to endeavor to make it as much of a fun, enjoyable podcast, but also a thinking man's podcast. We are going to take ideas as they are, and break them down, and discuss them, and let people do what with those ideas as they wish. We're going to try to move away from labels, we're going to try to move away from those sorts of things, and we're going to talk about things case by case. Because there was a point that was made to me when I appeared on the Honey Badgers that I've been thinking about for a while now, of the idea of there being thought-killing terms. Not thought as in that hoe over there, but thought as in thinking. Where people are assigning labels to people to avoid discussion on both sides of the aisle. During Gamergate, everybody got pissy at Bob Chipman about it, and now they're doing the same thing. We're not going to do it here. That is just the ins and outs of it. And we're going to take a stand against this sort of thing. And say what is most important, the way to civility, the way to things becoming better, is to start thinking. And to stop assigning labels. Stop avoiding the tough subject. Stop avoiding the fact that the person across from you is a person. And they have their own reasons for doing things and so on and so forth. And we're going to try to figure out the why. Because if all we're going to do is snipe at one another all the time, nothing's ever going to get better. And society will continue to be shit. We could make it better, but we have to make an effort to do so. For sure. So we're going to do it here. What everybody else decides to do is up to them. But we're not going to dig into the whole outrage thing. Not going to do it. So, that's my thoughts. Hatman, you want to add anything onto that one?
Don't be stupid. Plain and simple. Don't be stupid.
Yep. Alright. So let's go ahead. On top of our picks for the year, we do have our picks for the week to recommend to folks. So, we're going to go ahead and start with Hatman. And Hatman has alcohol and I don't. So, Hatman, I will let you get started. I'm going to go grab a glass of wine. And then we'll come back in here in just a second.
What I've got, in the spirit of Game of Thrones.
Indeed.
I am the god of tits and wine.
I'll be right back.
So, I have been rewatching Game of Thrones from the beginning. In anticipation of the last season that will be airing in April. So far, I'm up to about midway through season 5. Yes, I've seen everything up to this point. This is just a rewatch. And some things are not as exciting when you know how they play out, and then some things you pick up on, you're like, hey, actually, that's pretty awesome. Like, for example, the whole Robb Stark campaign kind of just gets boring after a while. Like, honestly, I feel like Tywin Lannister and just the Lannisters in general are much more interesting to follow than literally anything that Robb and Catelyn Stark are doing. Just like Jaime Lannister and Brienne's journey is more interesting to watch. And then there's, of course, the other thing that I noticed, which is Sansa Stark just gets shat all over, doesn't she?
Yes. To say the least.
It's like the two biggest assholes in the series. She has to fucking... she's promised to marry at the very least. Actually does end up marrying one of them. But holy shit. The only way you can make it worse is to marry her off to Euron Greyjoy in the fucking end. And yes, Hardboiled Entertainment, Dany is hot. Daenerys is hot because she is made of fire and blood, of course. That's another thing that you really sort of notice. Like, the whole idealistic rule that she's got, you don't see it as much. Like, you're willing to give her the benefit of the doubt the first way through, and then rewatching it, you're like, actually, she's kind of a dick. Like, the scene in season 5 where she's got the old masters of the city that she's running, trying to figure out who's behind the whole Sons of the Harpy thing. And then she just leads them into the cellar where she's chained up her dragons and straight up torches one of them.
Yep.
And that's like right after she says, well, some of you might be innocent. Okay.
What about that guy?
Yeah. Are you fucking crazy? But no, it's I don't agree with Honest Whisper here. Watch season 1 through 4, then abandon ship. I do not agree with that whatsoever. The most recent season, I remember being kind of meh. But to be honest, they're kind of rushing towards the end, so I can sort of excuse that. But at the same time, no, I think some of the best moments are in season 5, especially with Jon Snow. For God's sake,
Oh yeah.
Jon Snow has a major part of his arc in 5.
Yeah, season 5 was kind of the Jon Snow show for a bit.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's really interesting how he goes from being like super about his vows to like not really giving that much of a fuck about what the Night's Watch wants.
Mm-hmm.
In over the course of one season. But yeah, he is the hero. So yeah, I can deal with that. What John and Danny, will it happen? Yes, it'll happen.
It already technically did.
Yeah, boat sex happened.
Yes.
So. Boat sex happened. But no, I think they're gonna end up being something of a couple, and Daenerys will probably have a baby and then die.
Most likely.
And then If I had to have an ending, it would basically leave Jon Snow in Ned Stark's position at the start of the series, and his son, basically being the next Jon Snow.
Pretty much. And
So,
thus
Micah,
the cycle continues.
Yeah, you said you wanted to talk Game of Thrones a bit because we haven't talked about this on the show before.
Well, first off, we have to say that as we raise our wine glasses here, we drink and we know things.
That we do.
So, by the way, what are you drinking today?
I bought a nice Chianti last night. So that is what I am polishing off.
Nice. Say for me, it's my Moscato, which I finished the bottle, so I'm going to have to go buy more.
Yeah, I am out of Moscato now, so I'm going to have to get more for New Year's or just champagne. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, plan for me is I'm either going to stock up on cheap but good wine, or I'm going to get a bottle of Knob Creek whiskey. Because I tried a bit of that over the holiday, and it was very good. But yes, for me, Game of Thrones, further solidified that Sean Bean dies in everything.
Yes, he does.
But
except for National Treasure, that's the one thing he doesn't die in.
That is true. I was always surprised at that. But for me, I enjoy the entirety of Game of Thrones. Season 5 for me was the only one where I found myself fast forwarding parts of it. I do think it is probably the weakest season, but the moments with Jon Snow are all good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because a lot of it is just getting to the points that you have to be in season 6. Like the whole Tyrion's entire arc in season 5 is just bullshit. Let's be real.
But I enjoy this show quite a bit as well. I mean, my thing is, the only thing that I think that I have disliked about it was that it does kind of come across as a little cynical at times. Mm-hmm. But the weird part about it is that the most recent season was probably the least cynical, mm-hmm. and yet oddly enough, felt the most traditional when it came to storytelling. Like it was going back towards, the standard hero's journey in a sense. Mm-hmm. So, but needless to say, I'm a fan of the show. I'm glad we finally actually got to talk about it a little bit. But
chat's talking about Hodor also.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil that for anyone. Man. But yeah, like, let's just put it this way: the most recent season was fucking intense.
Yeah.
So, speaking of fucking intense, my pick of the week is Gears of War 4.
That has nothing to do with fucking people intense.
No, but it's a fucking intense video game.
Oh, right.
So, We're not talking about my sex life, Hatman. I sexually identify as Doom Guy.
Oh, God. It's going to be one of those podcasts. Start off with Rip and Tear, and then we get this shit.
Yep. But no, in all seriousness, though, if there is one shooter series that I like more than Doom, it is Gears of War. Gears is probably my favorite, I would think. Reason being is that, first off, it is probably the strongest co-op experience you will have in gaming these days.
The whole series through.
It was built for co-op from the start.
Yeah.
And for teamwork and for smart fighting.
Yeah.
Which is why I always loved
absolutely.
it. You know, all of the maps in multiplayer were built for flanking, were built for constant maneuvering and outthinking the other guy, even since the original. And 4 is no different. I actually took some time with some of our patrons and Brainbox, our head mod, to play Horde mode yesterday. And dear God, what a fucking experience it is. But let's talk about the game as 4 as a whole, just bit by bit. So the multiplayer is Gears of War multiplayer. If you didn't like Gears of War multiplayer ever, you're not going to like it now. So it's basically the same thing as it always was with the current game's mechanics and weaponry. The storyline is probably one of the more interesting of the series, in the sense that it starts off with a cast that doesn't really... Because this takes place like 20 years after the third game. So the cast of this game, the main characters of JD, Dell, and... Oh God, what's her name? Kate. They, for better or worse, don't really know war like the rest of the planet in Gears of War has known. For those who don't know, Katie rather, the main story of Gears 1, 2, and 3 in Judgment takes place in a over 100-year time of war for the cast. You know, like they're at the tail end of it. There was a really long war called the Pendulum Wars, which is over a fuel called emulsion, and how it ends. And since then, there has been no war at all. Which, you know, hard times make good people because they have to battle against what's going on. Well, easy times make people soft. And this is an example of that, is you have these two guys in Dell and JD who are soldiers, or were soldiers, but didn't really experience war like JD's father, Marcus Phoenix, did. And, of course, Kate only learned to fight from her uncle, who was a former cog. So, or former gear, rather. And what we find during this is they are introduced to horror in the same way that Marcus Phoenix knew it. And you see them start to wear down and start to harden as characters. And that's part of the reason why I like it, because in Gears, you kind of already had your super soldiers, for better or worse, because the only people that were surviving were the baddest motherfuckers of all the bad motherfuckers. You know, you had Marcus and Dom, obviously, you know, because Marcus Phoenix is a bad motherfucker. With literally no superpowers or powered armor or anything like that. He's just a badass. Dominic Santiago was the same way. Cole, who doesn't love the Cole train?
All aboard the Cole train, baby.
Woo! But, and then, of course, Baird, the smart ass as well. And then you've got Clay Carmine, who is, like, infused with steroids. He's as big as Chris Redfield is in Resident Evil 5. You know, stuff like that. But, you've got to be a bad motherfucker to survive this series. And they're starting to realize exactly how hard it can get. And that's why I actually really do enjoy the story to Gears 4. Some people told me, it's like, yeah, the character is a lot more smarmy than they were in previous games. Yeah, because they're soft compared to other people. And they start to harden. And by the end of it, they realize they're in the shit. It's war.
Yeah.
And it comes with hell and horror, and people are going to die, and not die well.
Yeah, this is their fucking E-Day event, basically.
Pretty much. And it's really, really well done. And then, of course, Horde mode. The pinnacle, in my opinion, of survival modes is Horde mode. And in this game, they took it up a notch. They made it class-based, and they kept the kind of tower defense elements of the previous game as well. And whoa, does it get fucking intense. But that's the thing about Gears of War. It is intensity, intensity, intensity. And it's not in the same way of like a Doom. Doom is like, I am a human fridge who can move at super speed, and I'm going to murderize everything. You see 10 demons in front of you in Doom, and you're like, oh, fuck, this is going to be fun. You see 10 locusts in front of you in Gears of War, and you're like, shit, I'm going to die. This is going to be tough. But that's why I like Gears of War so much, is that you have to rely on the other people that are around you. You have to rely on your environment. You have to rely on your arsenal. And you're not a superhuman. You have to be able to outthink the other guy to beat them. So, yeah. Ton of fucking fun. If you have never played Gears of War 4, I'm pretty sure on the Microsoft Store right now, you can get it for $10. Go buy it right now. All you need is Windows 10 and a decent video card, because this is a 100 gigabyte download. And it is also probably the most graphically impressive game out there right now. Dat Unreal 4, yo. But then again, and here's the thing, it's also incredibly... Right, yep, and for those of you on PC, yes, you can play this on PC, and you can play with your friends who have it on Xbox One, because I do that.
Like me, I have an Xbox One.
Yes, but it's also very well optimized. Like, to the point where you're like, this is a Microsoft title? So... But then again, some of the people who work for the Coalition who made this game, a lot of them worked for Epic at the time that Gears was being made. Because this studio is solely devoted to making Gears of War games. On top of that, they've got Rod Ferguson as their head. He was the head of the Gears of War series, him and Cliff Bleszinski. And on top of that, and he didn't go crazy like Cliff did. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, yeah, it's the game's graphical fidelity and frame rate are incredible. It's great looking. It's great to play. It's a lot of fun with your friends. Yeah, go fucking buy Gears of War 4 if you haven't already. But yeah, just clear up a lot of space because it's a huge game. Yes, 100 gigabytes, and it's almost all textures. Yeah. It's, like I said, it is incredibly detailed. Look at the screenshot in front of you. Like, the rain, you look at the textures on that boom shot there. Or the texture on the enemy. Like, and think about it, and on top of that, on PC, it runs at 60 frames a second. It's crazy how detailed it is. And that's probably not even on high. So, yeah, it's like Crysis good. Like what Crysis was in the last games with graphical fidelity, Gears of War is on the PC. Anyway, so let's go ahead and keep talking video though. So the top 8 of 2018 in video games. I think this was a good year for video games. Not the best, but the highlights were really high. And I think that we should start out together talking about Dad of Boy, the game of the year, I think. One thing that we need to mention, if a game does not appear on our top 8, there's a good chance we might not have played it. Red Dead Redemption 2 being the top of that list. I have not played it yet.
Yeah, I have not touched it either.
So, but Dad of Boy.
Dad of Boy.
Or God of War, for those of you who prefer that.
It's still Dad of Boy. But for those of you longtime veterans, do y'all remember that time when I said for most anticipated titles, either coming out of E3 or like for 2018, I said God of War because I feel like it's going to be the exact sort of thing that the franchise needs, like the perfect evolution of where it needs to go. Yeah, I was fucking right. I was absolutely fucking right. That is about as perfect of a reboot / sequel as you can get, to be perfectly fucking honest. And they change up so much of the formula. It is very, very different, but
it's very soulsy in this combat.
Yeah, it really is. But the story is so worth it. Oh my God. I mean, I remember when God of War 3 had ended, and everyone was expecting, okay, well, there's got to be another one. You know, there's got to be a God of War 4.
Yeah.
You know, because Kratos he lived. You know, there's a little trail of blood from where he stabbed himself, and then he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then like years and years passed, and you were like, well, maybe we're just not getting one. Maybe that's the end of it.
Yeah.
And that was honestly an acceptable ending. And then you get this. And this is a game that really does take Kratos' last moments in God of War 3 and runs with them. Like, not just run with them, but sprints over the fucking finish line with them. This is exactly what we needed. A man who is so full of anger and hatred and revenge, who is trying to cast all that aside.
Yeah, he learned. That's the crazy thing about it.
Absolutely.
The whole thing with his... my problem with God of War 2 and 3 was that they were a temper tantrum. Mm-hmm. The first game, I still think is an all-time classic. Mm-hmm. The second and third games are still good. They're not bad in any sense of the game. In any sense, they're big, they're epic, they're sprawling, they're fun. Mm-hmm. You're a giant fucking murder blender, and that's what some people played them for. I personally was taken aback by the story of the character of Kratos and how he basically is a walking Greek tragedy. Mm-hmm. But then again, that was David Jaffe's idea from his own words, was that it's what he always planned for the character. Mm-hmm. And he also planned on the character going to different pantheons and stuff like that. I was genuinely surprised he didn't work on this game with the team at Santa Monica. Mm-hmm. Genuinely surprised by that. But, this game struck me mostly because of the fact that they were willing to make the character learn. That they were willing to get away from titties and, you know, just being a murder blender, and still having murder blender, obviously. There is still a very gory game.
Oh, yeah.
But it has purpose now to it.
Yeah.
You know,
it's not revenge focused. Like,
yeah.
Every God of War game before that is Kratos gets his revenge on somebody.
Yes.
And this is Kratos has basically learned that revenge solves fucking nothing. Finally.
Yeah, pretty much. He settled down. He's not this giant testosterone psycho. He is, or the world's most determined atheist. But to quote Yahtzee Croshaw, but he's a man who has grown. He settled down. He married. He had a son. He started a new family, and he got to start over.
Yeah. Ironically, this is what he wanted from the beginning, from the very start. I mean, this was a man who was lamenting over the fact that he had killed his wife and daughter, and he had to quite literally bear that sin with him for the rest of his life.
Yep.
And it was only in God of War 3 that he was really allowed to forgive himself of that. But even then, that's all he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Like, think back to the ending of the first God of War game, where Ares has got him in that weird mental trap, where he's at home with his wife and daughter. Think back to Chains of Olympus, where he's trying to get a sight of his daughter in the underworld.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a man who wishes that he could go back to that time of peace and be a family man. You know, go home and be a family man, as I would say. But and he's finally got it. You know, that's how it begins. Kratos is a family man, and even though he does lose his second wife, he still has a son, and he will be damned if he is not the dad of Boy.
Yes, Boy. Yeah, I think he only calls his son Atreus maybe 3 times in the whole game.
Yeah, something like that. I honestly I don't fucking remember him calling him Atreus. I just Boy.
Yeah. Well, Hatman hasn't finished it yet. I have.
No,
so
I have not.
So yeah, that's the only thing I'll spoil about it. But one of the you're at this point already is one of my favorite parts is when Mimir goes, I'm hanging off the hip of the bloody ghost of Sparta. But it's really cool in the sense that Kratos has this worldwide reputation of being a scary son of a bitch. So yeah. Anyway, great fucking video game.
Absolutely.
My pick for game of the year too. I mean, it's like when they did that at the Game Awards, I'm like, yeah, I can't think of a game more deserving. Yeah. Storyline wise, absolutely.
Seriously.
All right. So that's sort of a team pick. Let me grab one of mine real fast and talk Monster Hunter World.
Ooh.
So I would say that this was probably the co-op game of the year for sure, because I can't really think of many things that are more fun than tracking down these giant beasts and having to work together in a team to bring them down. Dragons, unicorns, whole bunch of crazy shit. The weapon variation, is something that I really enjoyed about it as well. I ended up just kind of sticking with the longsword, but then again, I was a fan of the way that it played, team synergy and so on and so forth. I like the fact that you do legitimately feel like you're hunting stuff, and you have to scavenge from their bodies to build more and newer stuff to go kill bigger things. It is a constant feeling of the necessity of progression. But the type of way that the game is played and that it's more action-y than just a straight-up RPG, you have to go out and you're physically fighting these fucking monsters. You're not sitting... It's not some turn-based thing where it's just back and forth. You have to be active. You have to keep moving. You have to be smart about what you're doing. And you have to work with your partners. Or if you're playing it solo, you gotta pray that your fucking cat doesn't let you die. So, Monhun, this is my first Monster Hunter game. Probably won't be my last. It's just so much fun to play. And if you have not picked it up yet, please do so. You can get it on Xbox One. You can get it on PlayStation 4. I would recommend the PS4 Pro because it can actually run it at 60 frames a second at points. It's not always. It's not consistent. And then, of course, the PC version's incredible, to say the least. And I think they recently did an HD texture upgrade on it because it looks a lot better than it did at launch, for sure. So, definitely kind of the co-op multiplayer game of the year for me, for sure. It's just a load of fun, and it's a great time sink that doesn't really feel like it gets old. And if you take a break from it and you come back to it, you really feel like you haven't missed anything. It's just a fucking rush. So, another one of my picks. Hatman, how about you?
Another one of my picks, or
yes,
talk about Monster Hunter?
Another one of your picks. You haven't played Monster Hunter yet.
I really don't care about Monster Hunter. The most I've engaged with Monster Hunter is that little bit of it that they had in Peace Walker. I didn't really care for it.
Which they took out of later versions. Like, you can't... In the HD collection... Yeah, in the HD collection, you can't go hunt Rathalos. Which I'm like... But I want to hunt Rathalos as Solid Snake, or as Big Boss. What the fuck?
I guess that's the trade-off that you get for not PSP controls. God, those were not very good. Anyway.
Actually, you know what they need to do? Because they're having a Witcher event right now, and then they're going to do an Assassin's Creed event. They need to have a Metal Gear event. Where you can get Raiden's armor, Snake's armor, and stuff like that.
Yes.
I want to roar like David Hayter when I'm using the fucking machine gun. Like, that would be fucking sweet.
That'd be fucking great. Anyway, enough about snakes. Let's talk about Pikachus. Yes, Pokemon Let's Go. That'll be on my list. Honestly, like, for all the Gen 1ers out there that'll say stuff like, "Oh yeah, this was the best generation. Pokemon was only good when it was the first 151." Here you go. This is your game. It's Pokemon about as simplified as you can get it, and honestly, it's fun. It's pure fucking fun. You don't have to worry about breeding shit. You don't have to worry about getting the perfect fucking IVs on your Pokemon. You don't have to worry about any of that nonsense. It's just straight Kanto all over again. It's Gen 1 all over again. It's Yellow, really. It's a remake of Yellow. And it's honestly, like, I don't understand the hatred that the game has gotten from people. Like, yeah, it integrates some matters with Pokemon Go, but it's basically just the Pokemon catching. Aside from that, the trainer battles are pretty much the same. You're still going and getting your 8 badges and being the champion, and then going to the unknown dungeon afterwards with Cerulean Cave or whatever the fuck. It's always going to be the unknown dungeon to me. Shut up. But no, this is classic. This is classic Pokemon right here. And yeah, nostalgia goggles, sure. But what more can you say about this? Like, this is about as perfect of a I only love Gen 1, but I don't like the fact that you don't have some things like running shoes, or the game is really, really glitchy and shit like that. Okay, here you go. This is it. And yeah, it's not as good as some of the mainline games. Absolutely, but that's also because I'm fucking insane. But it's still really good. And my god, petting your Pikachu or Eevee, yeah. It makes me want a Pokemon as a pet. It really does.
I still want to ride a Blastoise and take over the world.
Blastoise Master Race.
Exactly.
Blastoise Master Race.
All right. So, my next one is going to be SpiderMan, for sure.
SpiderMan.
For those who don't know, Spider-Man is my favorite superhero ever. Always will be. And this was the first game that I really feel like captured all of the character and everything that goes on around him in a way that really hadn't been done beforehand. You know, a lot of people talk about Spider-Man 2. I'll be honest, guys. Everything associated with Raimi's time has aged like a banana. This game, however, really has something... Well, actually, no. The first movie's still pretty good. But I'm still not going to like 2 that much. I'm sorry. And 3 really? I thought was atrocious.
Wow.
2, I don't really like the idea of Dr. Octopus being going crazy. He always came across as somebody who was more driven by inadequacy than he really was just anything along those lines. And I feel like when you take that sort of thing out of his character, you really lose quite a bit. Though Alfred Molina did what he could, it was, but not to the same degree. Especially not in this, like this game does it, or the comics do. This game, however, it is a big part of his character. This one also, I feel, really gave the older villains a touch more depth, or a touch more feeling of threat, without making them turbo edgy, like Mark Miller had a tendency to do with Marvel Knights Spider-Man. And that is part of the reason that I really enjoy the game in general. Is it modernizes without feeling the need to make it like it's chasing an HBO series, if that makes any sense. You know, and that's something that I really enjoyed about it. Plus the gameplay, the web swinging, the flow of gameplay, the combat, leagues fucking better than any other Spider-Man game I've ever played. It didn't feel repetitive. the encounters with enemies didn't really come across as like they were cut and paste. You know, the environments were very well done. You know, obviously that there's a lot of, you basically took Manhattan and took Google Earth and plop, like they tend to do with Spider-Man games, but there was still more variety. You had plenty of landmarks that you would go to. There was still the Sanctum Sanctorum was there, the Wakandan Embassy was there, Avengers Tower is the biggest building in the game, and you can run all the way up it if you want to, and then skydive off of it while taking a selfie. But in all seriousness, though, it really was a lot of fun. It really was. It's, The only thing that I really disliked about it was that the DLC kind of came across as flat. But then again, it was headed up by Sam Maggs instead of the main team. And a lot of people are basically saying, you know, I'm kind of, you know, disappointed too. Like nobody has really... I haven't seen anybody that has given a glowing review of the DLC that's an actual gamer. Video game journalists don't count. But yeah, needless to say, though, yeah, it's definitely in a great thing. One thing to tell people in the chat, no symbiotes in this game at all. Which is good. Because if they had tried to shoehorn Venom or Carnage into this, I would have been pissed. Those kind of characters need to be the main, either the main villain or a playable character. Because this game's mechanics, and you get to play as fucking Venom, would be incredible. So,
came across as flat like Black Cat's chest.
Yeah, they definitely made Felicia. They definitely toned down her boobs.
Yeah, and how
her hips are still there.
How do you do her costume without the fur?
Yeah, it just looked like a sneaking suit, and it didn't really have the same sort of feel to it.
It's fucking Christopher Nolan's Catwoman suit.
Well, no, I would say that it kind of just, yeah, it felt like she stole something out of Solid Snake's closet.
That's what it looked like to me. Jesus.
Yeah, there is a Venom Easter egg in it, but it's not really a something that you're going to see a lot. But yeah, it just wasn't. Yeah, and you could tell it's got Sam Maggs all over it. You know, it's not, Sam Maggs is not very talented. Let's be honest. You know, the only reason that she got that job is because she wrote for, what was it, Jezebel? Or the Mary Sue?
Something like that, yeah.
You know, and, yeah. So, but hopefully in the future, they will...
fire her?
Well, yeah, there's that. But on top of that, hopefully they will also take the time to just, you know... say if we're gonna do DLC, let's make sure that we're really doing it right. Let's make sure that we're putting the top people on it instead of jokers who try to ruin other people's careers.
Yeah. Or claim that they were raped in GTA 5.
Yeah. All right, Hatman, what was your next pick?
All right, next one and last one for me, of course, is Smash Brothers Ultimate, because come on, this is arguably one of the most anticipated games of the year, if not the most anticipated game so far on the Switch. And it's partially what I bought my Switch for, of course, because, you know, Pokemon Go, and then the added benefit of, hey, look, Smash comes out in about a month too. And yeah, the game deserves its subtitle of Ultimate. This is, in my mind, the definitive Super Smash Brothers experience. Even if it doesn't have trophies, even if it doesn't have a stage editor, I don't care at this point. This is incredible. Dare I say, this is the best Smash game of them all. Dare I say it? Because I'm really, really, really close to it. I mean, World of Light is your single-player experience that's better than Subspace Emissary, even if it cuts out all the plot elements to it. It's still fine. I love the idea that everything was like an event match. I said it in my initial review of it. I love that fact because that's one of the things I had missed so much in recent entries was the removal of the event battles. Fucking incredible. Spirits, you've got basically everybody at this point. Who's in the chat trying to say that melee is the best one? Really? Really? Come on. World of Light's worse than Subspace? No. Subspace, I cannot play Subspace again. It is just so frustrating. The enemies are so bland. And then the Great Maze is stupid as hell. No, this yes, this can be kind of frustrating, and yes, it is super, super long, but honestly, I feel rewarded. For every match that I play, I feel rewarded. And really, this is all I really could have asked for a Smash game. It really is. Like, even without some of the more ridiculous requests for characters, and even then we're getting some more DLC anyway, like four more unknowns for DLC. But no, I'm absolutely satisfied with this. I can't fucking put it down. Y'all know me and how much I put time into Pokemon. I have not touched Let's Go since Smash Ultimate came out. That's pretty much exclusively what I've been playing. So, yeah. And what spirits would I like to see make the jump to a fighter in Smash? Off the top of my head, Rayman and Shantae. Straight up. I need them. Also, nerf King K. Rool. Please, for God's sake. No heavy should have a goddamn reflex like that.
All right. Are we Alliance or Horde? Neither. We don't play World of Warcraft.
I don't play WoW.
No. All right. So, for me, the next couple of games we'll speed through because we've almost hit the hour mark already. But then again, we expected this to be a longer show. For me, Far Cry 5 would be the next pick that I would have for the year. And let me say this again. I told all of you that it wasn't going to be what people wanted it to be. That it wasn't going to be something about white nationalism. That it wasn't going to be anti-Christian, which it certainly as fuck was not. You know, or anything along those lines. I was fucking right. Because I know that Ubisoft still likes money. And nobody likes cults. And that is why I spent a good chunk of this game so far, I haven't finished it yet, headbanging, listening to Meshuggah, and murdering fucking heathens.
Deus Vult indeed.
Yes. So, quite the good game. Definitely a good co-op experience if you want to play it. Drop in, drop out, anytime you like. It's basically got all the elements of Far Cry 3 that I really enjoyed, but it tones down the hunting and tones up the combat to make it feel like you're in a fucking ground war. And that's the fun, to say the least. So, I'm really, really enjoying it. I have a feeling that when I get to the ending, it's probably going to be depressing, but eh.
Yeah, the ending is a thing.
Yes. And then, finally, I had to pick the remake of Shadow of the Colossus. Because if there's any game that, in my opinion, should be touched up every couple of generations to catch up with the hardware, but you don't touch the gameplay, it's Shadow of the Colossus. It's not just a video game, it's a piece of art. It belongs in a museum.
So do you.
Well, yeah, because I'm awesome. But in all things considered, if you own a PlayStation console at this point, and you don't have Shadow of the Colossus near you, there's something wrong with you. It really is an incredible video game. And probably some of the best and most well-designed bosses that you'll ever encounter in video games, for sure.
It's really weird because it's surprisingly simple, but it's got enough complexity to be a real challenge too, especially for first time players.
Oh yeah.
That's one of those games where you could suggest it to just about anybody, and that would be like the idea of, this is one of the best video games ever. This will decide whether or not you really want to play video games. Like, this is one of the definitive markers of all of gaming. I mean, worthy enough to be given an HD remaster and then another HD overhaul fucking remaster. Totally worth it. Absolutely worth it.
Absolutely.
No, it's not. Well, it's open world to a degree, but it's not like a. It's different. You gotta use your sword to find the Colossi, but it's not like open world in the same way that like Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, you can't really fight them in the order you want.
No.
So. Also, I just want to say, for what Tom the Fish just said in the chat, I completely endorse that message. There's a so before we move on, it came out today that the villain of the second season of The Punisher will be, or one of the villains is going to be, a Christian fundy.
Yeah.
And supposedly also alt-right.
Which makes no sense.
Yeah, that's like saying he's a cat dog. It's like there's no crossover there.
Once again, people don't understand that you can't be a fundamentalist Christian and be alt-right, just like you can't be Jewish and be alt-right.
Yeah, it's... I basically what I said was this, is like, the character is going to be based on a character in the comics called the Crusader. And I know the character.
You're not doing Jigsaw?
He's going to be in there, but he's not Jigsaw yet, or something like that. But what will probably end up happening is there will be a... how do I put this? There will most likely be a transformation into the character more so. But one of the things that will probably end up happening is he will probably be a religious nut, which is fine. Like I said, I hate religious nuts because I'm not a nut. I'm just a religious guy. So, all right. So let's go ahead and move on to our top 8 of... Well, actually, no, I didn't really finish my point. But the whole thing that I think is probably going to end up happening is that it's, again, they're using this... He's either going to be a white nationalist or he's going to be a Christian fundamentalist, and they're using the term alt-right or they're using the term Christian fundy to virtue signal, because they basically are trying to do that to get people, to get the press off their backs. Because if it's not one or it's not the other, the press will try to lambaste you. But Hollywood has not quite learned yet the lesson yet that most people who don't live in New York or Los Angeles or San Francisco don't give a fuck about what Polygon says, or Gawker or any of them.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's move into the next topic. Our top 8 of 2018 films. Hatman, I will let you begin.
So, first on my list is Isle of Dogs.
Okay.
Isle of Dogs is one of those movies that really surprised me. I kind of thought it was just going to be a cheap little, this is cute, this is just a little entertaining 90-minute, little popcorn flick. But no, Isle of Dogs is actually really profound. Like, just an examination of like the relationship between man and man's best friend, in a way. And it's one of those movies that you don't really expect to tug at your heartstrings, but it still manages to. And on top of that, like, some of the animation is great, but also hilarious too. Like, very over-the-top cartoony when appropriate. Like, whenever there's a fight, it's literally just dust clouds and people's heads occasionally poking out of things. It's wonderful in that regard. Very, very entertaining. But it also has a really, really touching story, too. And honestly, that's what I'm rooting for Best Animated Film at the Oscars this year. And I don't really give a fuck about the Oscars, but if there's anything that really deserves it, I think this one does. Much more so than whatever Pixar put out.
Yep. Go ahead and give us another one, Hatman, because I only have 3 that I really saw in theaters this year. Well,
All
4,
right.
But one of them I didn't really feel like was worth mentioning.
All right, so this one is going to be controversial, but it sort of ties back to what we said in the opening. Black Klansman. Yes, I'm actually putting Black Klansman on my list. Honestly, in spite of the ending, that almost infuriating fucking ending, just totally out of place, totally derailing of an ending. That movie is one that I can't stop thinking about and thinking, my God, that is actually really, really fucking funny. Like, imagine Kylo Ren trying to be a fucking Klansman. And it's fucking hilarious. It's honestly hilarious. And then God, I'm gonna forget the main dude's name. Main dude literally talking to David Duke on the phone and just trolling him the entire time. Yeah, it takes jabs at Trump and whatnot. And you, of course, oh God, roll your eyes at it. Yeah. But other than that, it's solid. It's funny. It's something that I went in thinking that I was going to hate, and I was prepared to hate it. And I had my arms, folded most of the time, and was like, I don't fucking like anything that Spike Lee did. Fuck his joints. And then I came out of this, kind of pissed off because of the cut to Charlottesville footage and shit like that. But afterwards, really, really mulling it over, I'm like, if I just walked out at that point, I probably would have enjoyed it a whole hell of a lot more. And all things considered, I really actually did enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is not a virtue signal. No, this is not me going all SJW on you. Seriously, like, skip the ending. Skip the part where main dude and his girlfriend are pulling their guns out at whoever's knocking at the door, because everything that follows is like raw footage from Charlottesville and shit. Skip that. The rest of the movie's fine.
Yeah. I actually have had the conversation about Black Klansman with a couple of people after you did the review months ago about the ending, and they didn't really see how it fit. It's like, because and these were friends from work who are black, and they're like, it kind of seemed like it didn't fit at all. Mm-hmm. Because one of them was one of my friends had basically just said, he's like, Klan wasn't even at Charlottesville. Mm-hmm. Like, what does this have to do with anything? And because that's what it was. Spike Lee basically just fitted in there to virtue signal. Yeah. And yes, if Hatman was going SJW on you, he would have liked that ending.
Yeah.
So.
Also, Garza, what the fuck, man? Pacific Rim Uprising, Predator.
God, the Predator. Hatman, didn't you know that autism is the future?
I pray you forget those movies.
There's not enough alcohol in the world that'll make me forget the Predator. Not. Oh, God, that movie was terrible. It was so bad. So bad. Speaking of black people, though, next pick is Black Panther. Still enjoy this movie. Watched it again over Christmas with my dad. And I still don't understand why people dislike it, aside from the fact that I think that they let the politicization, I can't word today, of it get to them, which is part of the reason why I made that declaration at the beginning of the show. It's like, I really don't give a fuck what other people say about this or try to inject their own personal politics into it. I can do that with this movie, and so can other people. What's funny about it, because my dad and I had this conversation after we watched it together, is that when you look at the character of the Black Panther, in a lot of senses, it's a right-wing character.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the fact that he is called Black Panther. And he's from Africa. But he's a king, he's a monarch, who supports monarchy, supports tradition, you know, to the point where he is willing to strip himself of his powers and fight people with a spear and a shield.
Mm-hmm.
And yet people called Resident Evil 5 racist for doing stuff similar. But anyway, point being is that there's a lot, you know, and this is something my dad and I talked about, is like there's a lot of conservatism in a sense in superhero films by default. Because it's about preservation. It's not necessarily about trying to move anything forward. But for me, the main reason I like Panther is because of the dynamic and the comparison between T'Challa and Killmonger. And I think I told Hatman this after I saw the film. Hold on one second. Oh!
Bless.
Thank you. Somebody must have said my name somewhere. But the thing that I thought was going to be very telling is whether or not you thought the story was about T'Challa, rather, not T'Chaka. T'Chaka's dead by the point of this. T'Challa, or if it's about Killmonger. The people who are going to be all over Killmonger are going to be people on the far left, and the people who love T'Challa are going to be politically right-wing.
Or just everyone else.
Yeah, and I was right.
Mm-hmm.
But the big thing about it is that, yeah, they politicized it to senses, but when you watch the movie, when you take it on its own merits, it really is a fun superhero story. Mm-hmm. You kind of, when you let yourself enjoy it, you kind of see why people like myself or Aiden or others who talk about the Christopher Priest run on Black Panther fucking swear by it, because this is Christopher Priest's Panther on film. And if you've never read Christopher Priest's Panther, it is a must-read comic book. Mm-hmm. It is incredible, and this film really is that. You know, they took the technology from sort of the Ta-Nehisi Coates version of Wakanda in a lot of ways, which to Coates' credit, the nanotech Panther suit is actually a really cool idea. Mm-hmm. And it looks really cool in some of the effects. They really overuse CGI in this film on the suits. They really should have done, or they should have had actual actors or stuntmen doing the martial arts fights. It would have looked a lot smoother. But then again, when you look at and Winston Duke is a show stealer in the movie too.
Yes.
He really takes a character that really is this big African stereotype in the comics and makes him lovable.
Yeah, well, it's probably for the best that they didn't call him Man-Ape in this.
Yes. But they didn't take away the monkey imagery.
No, they didn't.
They
really did not.
And they shouldn't, because gorillas are fucking powerful and scary, and so is M'Baku the Man-Ape.
Yeah. Well, they called him like Great Gorilla in there too.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, they totally went with it, and it's absolutely fucking appropriate.
Absolutely. And they made him fearsome.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, needless to say though, Black Panther's a great film. It really is one of the better MCU films. Not the best. It's not as good as Civil War.
No, it's not. No, it's up there, but it's not the best.
I'd say top 5. I'd say top 5.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that for sure.
So yeah, and the politics of it, you got to keep something in mind, guys. The black separatist is the bad guy.
Yeah, that's what shocked me, that Killmonger was basically full on Black Lives Matter, and he was the bad guy all the way through.
Yeah, there's nothing redeemable about him.
No.
You feel for him and for what happened, because the story is basically about how tradition without thought can make your own worst enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what happens. So. All right. Hatman, what was your next pick?
Next one, Halloween. This is how you do a goddamn sequel. This is how you do a sequel in a franchise that has already had a fuck ton.
Oh, real quick. You can quote us on this. Fuck the media.
Fuck the media. Fuck them.
Fuck them!
Fuck 'em.
Continue.
All right, so Halloween. Yes, this is how you do a sequel. This is how you do a sequel in a franchise that has already been fucking marred by sequels. Ignore everything else. Go back to arguably the best of the franchise and then make a sequel to that. Do not be afraid of playing up the relationship between the villain and the last girl. Go for it. Just run with it. Yes, this is absolutely worth it. This is like the 40th anniversary tribute that we needed and we deserved. Jamie Lee Curtis is a fucking badass also. She's fucking great. None of that bullshit like we got in Halloween Resurrection, which she just fucking gets murked like in the first few fucking minutes, just out of fucking nowhere. That's bullshit. No, she's badass as shit in this. Like, no, she doesn't exactly chop off Michael Myers' head in this, but next best thing, burning a whole fucking house down for him after trapping him in a fucking pit. I'm down with that. I'm fucking down with that. And yes, John Carpenter's back doing the music again. Fucking yes. It's great. It is so fucking good. But no, this is a slasher film for the modern day. It works. It works as a character film. It works as a fucking slasher film. I'm down with that shit. I'm fucking down with that shit. And on top of that, the twists that are in the movie too, fuck yes. I'm down with that too. Great fucking Halloween movie, great fucking slasher movie, great fucking movie. Great fucking movie.
All right, my next pick, obviously, for those who can't tell, is going to be Venom.
Venom.
Talk about a fun fucking movie.
Venom, well, there's one more on our list that I've seen more times in theaters, but Venom I did go back and watch again.
I've watched it twice since I bought it on digital, and of course I saw it the night of the debut.
Mm-hmm.
And the most recent time I watched it, I made sure to have my friend Devin with me, because Devin's been a long-time Venom fan too. And before we watched it, he actually gawked over the mint condition first fucking printing copy of Lethal Protector #1 that I have that Artemis Worm sent me. But as we watched it, because I kind of felt like Devin in a way was a litmus test, because he's a family man now. He doesn't really have all the time for all the media stuff that I do, and with Venom, I don't think I've ever heard him laugh as much as he did in that film. But it is legitimately funny.
Yeah, it is.
Like it is, for better or worse, a Venom comic book brought to life, which is what you should try to do whenever you make a comic book movie, is you try to bring the comic to life. Is it weird that there's no Spider-Man? Yeah, it is. It is weird, though they do kind of allude to something that happened that got Eddie kicked out of New York. I have a feeling that that's there for a reason. But the Tom Hardy as the character is, I like his portrayal of Eddie Brock more than I like his Bane. And that's saying something, because I really liked his Bane, too.
Wow.
So, how do I put this? The thing about Venom stories is that they are dumb fun. Except for Donny Cates' recent run, he's kind of turned it into a John Carpenter-esque horror story, which is actually really good.
Thank God he's not shipping like all the retards wanted to do.
Like I said on Twitter, and this is going to go to anybody who reads my comics too. This is nothing personal, but writers are not out here to play to your fucking Tumblr fantasies.
No. No.
But anyway.
No. Don't bring that shit into my fucking Venom comics, for God's sake. Keep that shit in Steven Universe where it belongs.
Exactly. So, anyway, when it comes to this character and the portrayal of him, it really, 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 really got the character down. It got the relationship between Eddie and the symbiote down. You know, it really just was a ton of fun. And it always comes, it just surprises you at every point. And I don't know, there's something about the way Ruben Fleischer did this movie that continues to impress me with it. It wasn't as good as another comic book movie we'll be discussing here in a few minutes, but it was big. I would say it was the biggest surprise of film-wise of the year.
Oh, yeah.
This film...
This is one we were worried about, too.
Yeah, we were very worried about this one.
Yeah,
but,
we really were.
But think of it this way. The world loved Venom so much, it did better financially than Wonder Woman. Think about that for a second. Wonder Woman, one of the most iconic characters in comic book history over the last, 80 years? Got outdone by a character who's not even close to as old or as popular as she supposedly is. Because we are Venom. That's why.
We are Venom.
Venom was fucking great. But at the end of the day, now don't get me wrong, Wonder Woman was a great movie too. But when it comes right down to it, Venom was a worldwide hit. The character has been revitalized. And yeah, to say the least, if you have not seen Venom yet, go pick it up. It's a ton of fun. If you really want just good old fashioned types of comic book stories, Venom is definitely it. There's really good action. The SWAT team fight. Holy shit.
Yes.
The whole time, my buddy Devin Lee, just put it this way, he was like, they got the movement of Venom right. How he moves. He's big and he's lumbering, but he's fucking fast. Think of how quickly he swims the length of the San Francisco Bridge. Of the Golden Gate Bridge. In seconds. He's ridiculously fast, he's huge, he's scary. But he's still fun. Mask! Copy. It's fucking great. I love Venom. I'll always love Venom. I wish I had worn my Venom shirt today, but I didn't wash it, so.
Jump.
Pussy. Oh my god.
Fun. It's so much fucking fun. Yeah, it was totally worth seeing again for me. Totally worth fucking seeing again.
So yeah. And I wish I had bought the version with all the extra stuff, though. I might get that one, too. Because I'm curious what the extended version of the conversation between Eddie and Cletus was. I'm curious about that. So, alright, Hatman. Next movie, and then we'll get to the final one.
Alright. So, next movie for me. Another one that really surprised me, and I was going in expecting to hate. Ready Player One.
Another one we were worried about.
Another one that we weren't, not only we were worried about, but it seems like everyone in the fucking media was ready to crucify this fucking thing. Bringing up all the bullshit in the book and how, it's actually really awful, and it's funny too because they were praising it literally last year.
Yeah.
But yes, Ready Player One was very much a fucking surprise. It's a Spielberg movie. Through and through, it is a Spielberg movie. It feels like one, for God's sake. Like, yeah, it's pop culture reference after pop culture reference after pop culture reference, but
there's a fucking Gundam.
Yeah, there's a fucking Gundam. There's a fucking Gundam fighting Mechagodzilla.
Yes.
And the Iron Giant is there too. Like, come the fuck on. And there's Spartans and Battletoads and shit. Like,
there should
honestly,
always be Battletoads. Let's be honest.
Yeah, honestly, like, I think of how Wreck-It Ralph 2 portrayed the current state of, like, pop culture and internet and stuff. And then I think to Ready Player One, I'm like, Ready Player One feels a lot more realistic. If we had, like, a fucking virtual reality internet that we could go into, that is exactly what it would fucking look like. Everybody would be in the skin of some bullshit. Like, somebody that you play a shooter against will be wearing a fucking Duke Nukem skin. A bunch of fucking kids who think they're hot shit will be dressed as Spartans. Like, come the fuck on. Like, that's exactly what it would be like. But even at the heart of the movie, it's still classic fucking and I know I say that so much. It's classic Spielberg. It's classic Spielberg. It's an adventure story. It really is a fucking adventure story. And yeah, you got the whole big corporation bad, shit like that. That's a little bit cliche, but it is one of those movies that you can just sit back and fucking enjoy. Like, don't think too hard into it, because then you'll start to hate it. Just like most of, well, can I really say most of what Spielberg fucking does? Like, it's good. It's good. Yes, it's nostalgic. Yes, absolutely, but that's not a bad thing. It's really, really not a fucking bad thing. And yeah, the Mechagodzilla scene, that put a big ass smile on my face, if only because they actually used the fucking Godzilla theme for it. This movie pays so much fucking attention to detail. For people like me, yeah, you find enjoyment in just, like, the smallest of fucking things.
Now, we have to finish with balance.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
I would say movie of the year goes to Infinity War.
Honestly, I would too. I watched it again over Christmas. And it's so fucking good. It's so good.
It has so many layers to it, which is part of the reason why I like it. Is it really does come across like a Jim Starlin story brought to life.
Yeah, it really fucking does. Like,
well, actually, hold on. Jim Starlin writing with Jonathan Hickman. Because there's a lot of Hickman's characters in this, in the Black Order.
I can see that.
But more so, it's kind of, it is Starlin's version of Thanos, though.
Yeah, this is how, and I know I said I would love to have, like, Thanos Quest adapted in some way, but really, like, watching it again, yeah, this is Thanos Quest. This is not Infinity Gauntlet. This is Thanos Quest.
Oh, guys, real quick. I said on Twitter that I have a tendency to think that people think, denounce Comicsgate because they think it's going to keep, they have to do it to keep their job, for better or worse. I still stand by that. Hey, Tim Doyle, by the way, this is for you, buddy. Again, you, me, boxing ring, don't run away this time. But anyway, if you see Jim Starlin is going to be at a convention, go. If you really enjoy his work, take a copy of Thanos Quest.
Yes.
Not only will he be happy to sign it for you, because everybody brings him Infinity Gauntlet, talk to him, because apparently he is super personable. And is an awesome human being, from what Hatman tells me.
I can attest to this. I've done it. Literally, I've done that.
Yeah,
you know what? It's a damn shame too, because when I went up there, this was either like the second to last day or the last day of the con. There were still like a bunch of fucking people on the floor. There was no one at his booth. Nobody. So you don't have to wait in line or anything. I had to wait in line for Tom King. That was a fairly long wait. But Starling literally just walked up and could shake the man's hand right there. Come on. The guy deserves way more respect.
He's a legend.
Yes.
He really is. He deserves more respect than what Marvel gives him, so I would ask if you guys dig his comics, give him that respect.
Yes. Absolutely.
But what does Jim Starlin think of the movie's interpretation of Thanos?
Oh,
I mean, yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah,
they consulted him on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he said it's great, absolutely great. He was. Did we ever say this on the podcast about how Avengers Endgame is opening?
He told us.
Yeah.
What it was going to be.
Yeah.
Well, told Hatman who told me, but
yeah,
the message was for me. You guys get it, but
yeah. They showed it in the trailer. It opens on the Scarecrow, and they showed it in the fucking trailer.
Yeah.
So yeah, he definitely, yeah, he. I think it's safe to say that he really enjoyed, not only how they did Thanos, but just Infinity War in general.
Yes. It is a Thanos story, and Thanos stories are some of the best stories in comics.
It's Thanos' quest.
Yes.
It really is. It is the hero's journey for Thanos, and Thanos did nothing wrong. Thanos did nothing wrong.
Yes. But in all seriousness, though, I mean, Josh Brolin's portrayal of Thanos is probably the best comic book character villain since Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think part of the reason why is because he has a philosophy. Not just a motivation, he has a philosophy. And I think that it's the pursuit of that philosophy that drives him to do what he does that makes him so compelling. In the same way that Heath Ledger's Joker was an anarchist. Not like a no government anarchist, but a literal anarchist. Mm-hmm. Like as in the literal definition of the fucking term. He is chaos. Thanos is balance. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he does not believe, he's nihilistic. He does not believe that life in and of itself is necessarily a good thing. It's part of what makes him so interesting. You know, it's not... Yeah. You know, and there's been a lot of good MCU villains. Killmonger being one of them. The Vulture. Zemo. The Red Skull. So on and so forth. But the best ones in just comic book movies in general have always been ones that are more based on their philosophy than they are just one sort of driving principle. Hydra, in a sense, in Winter Soldier, as a group, is a great villain because they're driven by a motivation and a philosophy, not so much, you know, something else, or just petty revenge or something along those lines.
And see, Thanos, what makes Thanos great too is he is willing to make personal sacrifices for this, and it's not just, you know, for infinite power either.
He kills his own daughter.
Yeah, it's not for the sake of power for power's sake, and I'm glad that they pulled this from the comics too. He's literally just using the power and then laying it down again. I mean, you know, what are you going to do after that? Well, I'm just going to relax and watch the sunrise on a grateful universe.
Yep.
He's not in it to be, you know, the end all be all arbiter of the fucking universe. He's not in it to be a god. It's like, I'm doing what I have to do and then putting it away.
He legitimately believes that if he doesn't do what he does, everybody dies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Toughest choices require the strongest convictions.
Strongest wills.
Strongest will. Yeah, same thing. But yeah, it's... Yeah, Thanos is fucking great. And when a character can really blur the line between what is and is not a villain, like, let alone a stereotypical villain, but just a villain in general, that's how you know that you've made something special.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing to mention also, like, and we're not the other characters in this film didn't, like, they brought their A game too. Mm-hmm. Like, let's not kid ourselves.
No, absolutely not.
The what's the name? Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. Mm-hmm. Robert Downey Jr. always brings his A game to these movies. Mm-hmm. I think. He's very memorable. Cap is Cap.
Well, Cap and Cap wasn't even in it that much, but still, what was there was
everything he said is impactful.
Zoe Saldana as Gamora in this too.
Yes,
like I think we really sort of glossed that over in our review, but she had an important role to play, and she fucking killed it.
The Guardians, in my opinion, her and Star-Lord especially, very memorable performances.
Yes,
very memorable.
Very, yes.
Because you can tell, you can kind of see elements of Peter Quill's character where he jokes to hide a level of pain. It just, man.
Yep, and Tom Holland as SpiderMan, of course. Peter Parker.
I still maintain best one.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. And can I just say also, Hemsworth's Thor.
Oh my God!
Much better in this than we got in Ragnarok. Just that scene with him and Rocket.
That reminded me of J. Michael Straczynski's Thor in a lot of ways.
Yes, that was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, just.
And then Thor's touchdown in Wakanda.
Bring me
Thanos! Yes. It was incredible. Freaking credible. It really, man.
You can watch that movie over and over again and just not get fucking bored of it.
Yeah, it's not just, in my opinion, like, again, best superhero film since The Dark Knight. On top of that, it has just a rewatchability to it.
Yeah.
Because it has everything you could ask for in a film.
Yeah.
It has action, it has drama, it has love, it has levity. I'll do you one better. Why is Gamora? like that, like, just stuff like that. It really is, in a lot of ways, a perfect superhero film. And then everybody loses.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the reason why I love it.
Yeah. Now, there are movies that I can just put on in the background and just, sort of zone out to or do some work to and just listen to them, Clerks is one of those movies that I can literally just listen to. I can do it when the fuck ever. Because that's a fucking great movie. Infinity War is one of those movies I can't do that with. Because I have to actually watch it. I have to pay fucking attention to it. Like, I can't just... I tried just listening to it a bit, when I was with family and nobody was really fucking doing anything, and I was, still wanted to keep myself open, but I had to actually, like, pause the movie because I'm like, I really just want to watch this fucking thing. I can't just sit here and pretend like, yeah, I'm available. I'm around if you want to talk to me about random shit, Christmas things. Okay. No, I have to actually give it my attention. That is the mark of a quality fucking film, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, from a very personal opinion, but yeah, you cannot discount how fucking good Infinity War was.
Yeah.
Worth a decade of build-up.
Yes. Micah wanted Thanos to kill everyone. Yeah, pretty much. And he probably will. I imagine he's going to kill a lot of people.
Thanos reigns.
Thanos reigns. I fully expect them to still do the scene of Captain America walking up to Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. And what was the line? Let me dig it up real quick. because it's one of the most iconic Captain America moments of all time, and we kind of had a touch of it with Cap grabbing the gauntlet, but the statement and Thanos just looking at him like, dear God, this man will not stop. He will not stop. But in Infinity Gauntlet, like, here, and one thing you guys will never know, Jim Starlin is one of the people who should have had a run on Captain America. He really captures, and any time he writes Captain America, he captures him perfectly. But the line goes, as long as one man stands against you, Thanos, you'll never be able to claim victory. And Thanos' response is, noble sentiments from one who is about to die. And what's really cool about that scene in Infinity Gauntlet, and kind of in a way it crushes you, is the Silver Surfer wants to intervene very badly because he knows that Cap is going to die. Cap knows he's going to die, but he's not going to stop. And that's Captain America. And that's why he's the greatest leader in comic book history. Fuck Superman. Captain America is the greatest leader. Superman said it himself. Captain America is the best leader in comic books ever. And if you don't believe me, JLA Avengers. Go read it. It's actually a pretty good miniseries. And I say that as somebody who Kurt Busiek actively dislikes me. Don't care. It's still a good book. So, yeah. Phenomenal film.
So, who's going to kill Thanos? I don't think Thanos is going to die.
I don't think so either.
I don't think he will. I think he will just go back to being a farmer.
Yeah, I think that what's probably going to end up happening is what it says in the comics, is that he will probably sabotage himself in a way and leave himself open to lose. But I don't think that they're going to kill him off. I think that he will probably return at some point.
Maybe. I'd be okay if he didn't return, but I don't think he's going to die either.
Yeah. But he's died before in comics and then been resurrected, so... I'm still wondering if they will likely bring back or introduce the concept of death in this. I think that this will probably be the film where it happens, because they've already started, partially bringing in more of the cosmic characters like the Grandmaster, and others. They brought the Red Skull back, which I'm still happy about. I'm hoping that he shows up again, because he's been everybody's villain. So, I would love to see... and I think that whenever they do... Because one day Chris Evans will come back and do another Captain America appearance. It will happen. He probably wants to do it again. He just wants a break. That's what he's indicated in everything. It is his Superman. In the same way that... it was for, what's his face?
Christopher
Reeves.
Yeah.
So. Also, Venom, real quick, Venom has not been a villain since the 3rd year of his creation. Venom's time as a villain in the comics is actually very minuscule compared to his time as an anti-hero. Because it goes, there's Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 300. There's that arc. Then there's a few more arcs up until the Michelini Bagley time period, and that's around the time where he becomes an anti-hero. Because he was so fucking popular that everyone just liked him, so they didn't feel the need to keep him as a villain forever. Which is good. I think characters should evolve. And now he's completely buried the hatchet with Spider-Man. Completely. He's not even against Spidey anymore, which is saying something. All right. So, let's take 15 minutes for a quick Q&A. Do we have anything on the Twitter for entertainment stuff?
Let me check.
I have no fucking desire to talk politics today.
I don't blame you one single damn bit. Yeah, we do. Duke of Tumwater asks, why are some fan bases worse than others, i.e., Sonic fans are notorious spurgs, whereas other than Movie Bob, you don't hear about Mario fans being particularly autistic.
I really don't know. That's the thing. I couldn't tell you what makes it up. So I generally have no answer.
Honestly, I just... It's weird because I think like the more... And this could very well be bias interfering here. I think the more progressive a fan base is, the more aggressive it becomes. Because, yeah, the Sonic fandom is cancer, but Jesus God, like, look at... We rag on Steven Universe all the time.
Yeah.
Seriously, look at that. Like, straight up doxing and sending death threats to the people who work on the show because they won't canonize their fucking ships. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. The more progressive you go, the more aggressive as fan base you get.
Pretty much.
And let's see. Ryan Potter asks, actually kind of relates back to us talking about Shadow of the Colossus. What games do you think should be required gaming, if that makes any sense? On his list, he's got Doom, Super Mario 64, Super Mario Brothers, Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, Pong. Specializing in different genres would necessitate different required games, so what would some be?
Well...
I'd put Shadow of the Colossus on the list, of course.
Yeah, definitely. I would add the first Max Payne. As for third-person shooters. Let's see here.
I put Grand Theft Auto 4 on there if we're talking about sandbox games, or the first Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, those would be good picks. And then for just a couple more, for JRPGs, I would have to say probably Final Fantasy VII or 6. And then
6 would probably be better.
Yeah, if you take it at, as it is as a retro game, and then one more genre. Oh, and then Western RPGs, I would probably have to say Knights of the Old Republic.
Platformer.
Well, he already had Mario on there.
Yeah, I would not put Mario 64 on there.
I would say Super Mario World.
Yeah,
and Castlevania 4.
I would say Mario World or Mario Brothers 3 over the first Super Mario Brothers as far as a 2D platformer. The 3D platformers, I absolutely would not put Super Mario 64 on there. Crucify me all you want. That game has not held up very well at all.
I'd put Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time instead.
That is a great fucking choice. I was going to say maybe something along the lines of like Crash Bandicoot Warped, or maybe like the first Jak and Daxter.
Jak and Daxter wouldn't be a bad pick either.
But Prince of Persia: Sands of Time that's one that sort of came out of nowhere and was fucking amazing.
Yeah, horror game. Somebody said it in the chat. Silent Hill 2 for sure.
Oh God, yes.
It's the best one. There's none that touch it.
Yes. All right, that's really it for the Twitters. So
okay,
back to the chat.
Yep.
Or Discord if we have anything in Discord.
We didn't actually, oddly enough.
Okay, there we go.
So let's see here. So oh god, there's a lot of them. So So when's the Votoms spotlight on things I love? I actually haven't finished Armored Trooper Votoms yet. Let's see here. What people do we want to see in Into the Spider-Verse #2? I can't watch Into the Spider-Verse. I'm not allowed.
Spider people that I think are going to be in, well, 2099 obviously is going to be in it. If they get the what was it, the 1600s Spider-Man in there, that would actually be kind of fucking crazy. I really, really hope they do not bring in Marvel Zombies at all.
That would be a little much.
Well, personally, I can't fucking stand Marvel Zombies. I can't stand it. Do not want.
Yeah, I never... Yeah, it's Marvel Zombies I thought was kind of overrated.
Do not want. I wish we could see more Spider-Man Noir, to be perfectly fucking honest. I really wish we could.
Let's see. Have we had a chance to play Soul Calibur 6? If so, what are our thoughts on it? I have not had the chance. I don't have the cash.
Yes, got to play a little bit of it. The fucking character customization thing is fucking insane. You can make just about anybody you want. I saw somebody playing with Earthworm Jim. That is crazy. That is crazy.
Speaking of which, people asked who we thought should be in Smash. Earthworm Jim.
Oh, God, yeah, Earthworm Jim would be fucking great.
Doug TenNapel would probably throw a fit, but for good reason. He kind of got screwed out of that property, even though he created it.
Yeah, that's true. No, I fucking, yeah. I'd love to see Earthworm Jim in there.
Let's see here. Other than Doom Eternal, what games are we looking forward to in 2019? Gears 5. For me.
That's next year?
That's next year.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
I don't even know what else is coming out next year.
That's really all I know about is Doom Eternal and Gears 5.
Yeah, really
it's like violent shooters. Sign me up.
Yeah, I don't really know what the fuck is coming out next year. Anything that I really care about, because like the one thing that I'm like really, really hopeful for is Halo Infinite, but that doesn't have a release date yet, and I think 2020 at the earliest is what they fucking said. Something like shit, that's right. The fucking Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yes, that's obvious.
Yeah,
so
yes,
that's next month.
Violent shooters.
Yeah, that's next month.
Oh shit, that's next month?
Yep, and I will be streaming that shit.
Hold on. What's the release date on that?
January 28th, I want to say. So yeah, it's a month from now.
Late birthday present for me.
There you go.
Perfect. Ace Combat. Jesus Christ, they're still making Ace Combat?
Yeah, Brainbox, oddly enough, bought me the pre-ordered Ace Combat 7 for me, too. So I'll be trying that one out.
Holy shit. And yeah, Pokemon, yeah, the 8th generation Pokemon game, yes, I really want to see if they go back to like old formula or kind of build off of what Sun and Moon did.
Let's see here. I mentioned Spider-Man as my favorite superhero, but you said the same of Eddie Brock. Is Brock your... No, let me clarify. Eddie Brock is my favorite fictional character ever. That's a different... Like, Spider-Man is my favorite superhero. That's one category. Of all of fiction that has ever been created, Eddie Brock is my favorite character ever.
There you go.
He always will be.
There you go. I love how no one in the chat has said Kingdom Hearts 3 yet either. You all have great taste.
Oh, God. Okay, what do we think is more important when it comes to writing video game stories or characters? Not making them stereotypes.
Wait, what was the question?
Well, he didn't really give us any options, but what's more important when writing a character? It's really more than anything. It's just writing how you want to write them, as opposed to what everyone else says you need to do. You're the artist. You've got the direction. You know where you want to go with it. You know, that's the end of it.
Yeah. Do what you want to do. Don't try to fucking appease anybody. That's the one fucking thing that is going to just screw you in the end. If you write for appeasement of anybody, you're going to piss more people off than anything else.
Yeah, like I said earlier, artists are not here to cater to your fucking Tumblr fantasies.
No. If you're that pissed off, fan fiction.
Yeah. Fanfiction.net still exists.
It's still some fucking how it still exists.
Yep.
Okay, now people in the chat are talking about Kingdom Hearts 3. No, Kingdom Hearts is trash.
Yes.
Kingdom Hearts is garbage. Somebody sent me a whatever the fuck, a picture of a teacher for like either punishment or makeup work, said that students should explain the entire plot of Kingdom Hearts in chronological order, and make it detailed. I would say that's one, absolute hell to go through, and two, fucking impossible.
Yeah.
So, way to go, Teach, if you want to be like the biggest dickbag in the world.
All right. Well, I think that was 15 minutes-ish.
Is it?
We'll take one more
Oh,
question.
we got one more.
So let's see. Can we give Titans a chance? Probably not.
No, not really. That's not really a question. Let's end on this one, because this is something that I did want to talk about before we decided to just go full 2018. Thoughts on Blizzard and Twitch teaming up to censor Overwatch contenders in the season quarterfinals? Remember back in 2010 when Blizzard was saying that you had to use Real ID in order to post on the forums, and it took an employee getting doxxed for them to realize, hey, that's actually kind of a bad idea? Blizzard, what the fuck are you doing? Do you not remember that going full Orwellian before resulted in that bullshit?
Fuck them.
Fuck them.
Fuck 'em.
Yeah. Fuck all of that.
Fuck them.
Fuck them again. Why not?
Fuck them again.
Fuck 'em.
All right.
So 2019 is coming to a close.
2018, you mean?
2018. Fuck it, we're going straight to 2020. I don't
Fuck
give a
it.
shit.
Bring it on. But yes, been a pretty good year, I think. You know.
It's been pretty eventful. Current year has never been more current year.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Time is weird right now.
It
really is.
It really is. At least it's not 2016 anymore. 2016 was like fucking trash.
Yeah.
Thank God. I think everyone just hated that year. And I think a lot of people really hated 2018 too, but all things considered, it was just stupid fun. It was just stupid.
Yep, to say the least. Also, for those wondering where the hell the overflow is, holidays.
Holidays.
So,
which means the first overflow of the year is going to be an overflood.
Pretty much. So, yeah. Pretty good year, though, I think. You know, we're... How far away are we from 1,000 subscribers on this? We got
that's right.
285 to go. And then we'll be at 1,000 subs for this.
Year. We lost Stanley and Steve Ditko this year.
Yeah. That was unfortunate.
Yeah, it was. But, I mean... what can you do?
Yeah. I think for me personally, this was just a year that solidified for me every year is what you make it. And I had to bust my ass to make 2018 a good year. And I'm glad I did, to say the least. Alright. I'm going to go get some rest. And some food. Probably not in that order. So, we love all you guys. If you have questions for the overflow, feel free to go ahead and put them in the chat right now. Brainbox will collect them later. He's with family tonight. And just as a note, I'm not saying that if you had a bad year that I'm ending the stream. We appreciate you guys. My name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, also known as the Hatman.
And we're not going down those fucking roads. We'll see you next time. Dave's Fold.
Dave's Fold.